Bezras Hashem, Erev Shabbos Kodesh, Parashat Beshalach, Shabbos Shirash, das Tov Shir and Pei Beis. Reb Shlomo Kalbach, the Baal Menagan, Reb Shlomo Kalbach, before he would sing the song Leman Achai V'Reyoi, Leman Achai V'Reyoi, which speaks about having peace amongst Am Yisrael, peace in the nation of Yisrael, then he would say the following Dvar Torah to introduce the song, and he would say, what's the difference between speaking and singing? So he said the difference is, if a person speaks, and while you're speaking somebody else will speak, then it's called an interruption. And if many people are speaking at once, it's a noise, it's a disturbance. But if you are singing, if a person is singing a song, and then another person joins in harmony, and another person joins in harmony, it becomes the most beautiful chorus, most beautiful choir. Together, everyone singing in different harmonies, some a high note, some on a low note, and together it becomes a beautiful song. It's the same to Adabro no Sholem Boch. I speak to you with peace. When you speak to another Jew, you don't just speak to the Jew, but you sing together with him. He may not be like you, but together, his way of life, your way, together we all serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu in beautiful harmony. Everyone in his derech, everyone in his way. You're not a disturbance to me, but rather you join me in harmony in Avodas Hashem. And singing Shira is a great tool in Avodas Hashem, which today, Bezras Hashem, will explore the idea of singing in Shira. Number one, we know that in singing, in song, a song is made of 7 notes. Do, re, mi. As well, in Hanhoga Saboira, Kodesh Baruch Hu, the way he controls the world is 7 facets, which are called Chesed, Chesed, Gevura, Teferes, Yesoid. It goes on 7 different facets, 7 midos that Kodesh Baruch Hu has, with which he is mashkiach on the world. Now explains the Reb Chaim Friedland Mshin the Maharal that just like when you have a song, you cannot make a song with one note. You need a mix of notes, and not according to the order of do, re, mi, but you mix it around. Do, mi, re, you mix around the different notes, and you have a certain beat to the notes, and then comes a beautiful song. The same to the Ribono Shel Olam. Sometimes in life, there are high notes in life, times of simcha, times of acceleration, time person is happy but simcha and content. And sometimes there are low notes in life, and we don't understand why there's so much sorrow, so much pain. And we don't see the connection between the two. But when Losid Lovei Mizmoi Shel Yom HaShabbos, it will come a time of Mashiach. Am Yisrael as a nation, and every Jew and in private life will see how all the notes of his life are connected. All the midos, sometimes the midos are chesed, sometimes gevuras hadin, difficult times. And we don't see the connection between all the 7 midos, which are all formed in different ways, not in the right order. But when it will come Losid Lovoi, we will see our lives, we will look back at our lives. We will see how all the notes are connected to the exact order, to the right beat. And we will hear a beautiful niggun of our life. The songs of our life will be the most beautiful niggun. How it's all connected to one song. And that's why it says, Oz Yosher Moshe. Oz is the letter Aleph Zayin, 1 on 7, meaning all the 7 ways of life, the different 7 midos, we will know are all connected to one. Aleph al Zayin, 1 on 7, the Ribono Shel Olam, it's all a Ribono Shel Olam using the different midos to arrange the most beautiful song. So we should always know it's connected to bring out a nice melody of life. And we know that the neshama, the language of the neshama is through song. Song elevates a person, it awakens a soul. The chazan is Lashon Chazan. In Hebrew, a cantor is called a Chazan, which literally means somebody with a vision. And why is a Chazan somebody who has a vision? Chazan should be, a cantor should really be somebody who's singing nicely. And nevertheless, in Hebrew, a Chazan comes from the Lashon Chazon, a vision. Says Reb Nachman from Breslov, Likutei Maharan explains, because Chazon is when a Novi who has a prophecy, what does it say? Chazon Ovadia. Chazon Yeshayahu ben Amotz. He has a vision. He's connected to the Ribono Shel Olam with such a holiness that he's zoicha to nevuah. That is singing. Singing awakens a soul. That a person has a connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in such a way, in such a manner, that he is able to connect to Hashem in a type of nevuah, meheichel ha-nevuah, from a heichel of prophecy. And that's a chazan. The chazan has an ability to awaken all the mispalelim in song, and they connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When a person connects to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then he is like Chazon Shayohu. He is like a Novi. He is connecting to Hashem. His soul is connecting to the Ribono Shel Olam. But the question is, Asa Ma'avar Yabok, he asks, why is it? Why is the soul so awakened by a melody, by a song? And he says the most beautiful answer. He says, a soul comes from the Olam Yoinim, from the higher worlds. And in the higher world, there is no speaking. In the higher world, it's all about singing. The angels are singing. Everyone is singing songs and praise to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So when the soul hears a song, when everyone is singing and when you are singing, then your soul feels like it is back in the Olam Yoinim. It awakens the soul, it rekindles the soul, and it brings a holiness, because that is the language of the soul of the neshama. The neshama comes from the Olam Yoinim, which there is only singing to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So when you sing, you are transporting your soul to the higher levels, to the higher worlds. That's what it says. The holy from the Ma'avar Yabok explains as follows. I would like to quote: Yesh heichel lemala. There is a special heichel lemala she'eino nifteches elo benigun, which only opens through song and melody. And this, when Elisha was singing the 3 nigunim, he was trying to come into this heichel anegina. Now it says, Me'am nigun, v'neshama nenes me'am nigun, the neshama enjoys a nigun. Why? Lefishi regila benigunim, it is used to song. B'shish shel maloche ashoris, from the singing of the holy angels. V'shira galgalim. Ubiyois beguf, and when the neshamas is in the guf of a person in this world, v'shema sanigan, and it hears the song, nenis, it enjoys like it was used when it was Tachas Kisei HaKavod, the holy neshama. That is the power of a song. The power of the song is to elevate the neshama, to bring it back to Lemala Mikisei HaKavod, and the dveikos that it has to the neshama. And like I said, there are 3 types of songs. There are songs of simcha, that awakens the soul to simcha, to enjoyment, to excitement. There are songs of gaguim, which is longing of Yerushalayim, and there are songs of deveikos, attachment and devotion to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And this is the ability the song has to awaken the soul in these 3 areas of simcha, gaguim, and deveikos. But let's look a little bit further and appreciate the idea of singing, of song. It says in Perek Shira, all the Bria, the whole of creation, are singing to Hashem, and each one has its own unique song which it sings to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the last Shira is from the Klovim, from the dogs, which the Klovim would say, Klovim oimrim, let us bow and bless HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who has created us. And with this we end the Perek Shira, and it says the most interesting idea. It says, Rabbi Yeshaya, Talmidoi Reb Chanina ben Doisa, Rabbi Isai, we're talking about the great Gedoyle Reb Chanina ben Doisa, one of the great Talmudic sages. He would fast 88 taniyos. V'oman, he said, HaKlovim, it says about Klovim, it says in the Posuk, HaKlovim azei nefesh, they have a brazen soul. Lo yodu sova, they do not know to be content. They do not know satisfaction. Eich yodu loy mashira, how can they sing to Hashem? And the question is, what's so difficult? What's Tafka the Klovim, which says about Lo yodu sova, they do not know satisfaction? How can they sing to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? When he fasted 88 Tanesim, 88 fasts to be able to know with what merit the Klovim had, the dogs have to be able to sing to Hashem. In order to understand this question that he had, the Messiah will understand the answer, the question, in order to understand this question, difficulty he had, we will understand the concept of Nigunim. The concept of Nigunim we see that a person, it can take a person that can be in the greatest sorrow. You don't only sing when you've won $1 million. You don't only sing when life is so great. We see from great Talmudic sages, we see great throughout history, people were in the most difficult situations and they managed to find a power through song. They were able to find encouragement through song. Song was able to encourage them and give them perseverance even in the most difficult times. Like there's a story, for example, the Rebbe of Rimenov. I once heard the story from Rabbi Yaakov Shaish. He said the Rebbe of Rimenov, he was on the way to the Rebbe of Lezhensk. He was a bocher at the time, and he went to the Rebbe of Lezhensk. And from Rimenov to Lezhensk, he had to travel a few days. And like other bochrim, he didn't have money to travel, so he hitchhiked a lift by a Baal HaGolah. And the Baal HaGolah told him, no problem, you can come and you can be with, I'll give you a lift, but how will you pay me? That at night, when I go in the inn, you have to stay outside and guard my horse. You have to stay outside and feed the horse and clean the horse and be outside to watch my horse, and then the next day the horse will have koyach to continue along the way. So they went along, and at night the man went in the inn, and never the Rabbi Yaakov Miriminov had to stay outside, and he was outside in the cold feeding the horse, freezing cold and hungry. He wasn't given any food. The horse had food, he didn't have any food, and he was cold and hungry. And in order to keep warm with those freezing minus sub-zero temperatures, he needed to start to jump around. And jumping around, he started to dance. And starting to dance, he said, why am I singing? I'm going to sing to Hashem. And he started to say, Hashem, I'm so happy that I'm alive, that I can feel that I'm hungry. There's some people who cannot feel that they're hungry. Some people never need a food. They're not able to feel hunger and not able to feel thirst. And I can feel hungry, I'm alive, I can feel hunger and thirsty. And then he said, I'm feeling cold. Some people don't feel cold, and I need to warm my body in order to be warm. So it's a sign that I'm alive. And so he started to sing to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and started to sing to Hashem. And he was singing and dancing that he's alive, and he feels the cold, he feels the hunger, and Baruch Hashem, I'm alive. And a person went past and said, my dear Bocher, why are you singing and dancing over here outside at night? And he said to him, I have to stand outside to be with the horse, to feed. He says, come by me. And he gave him a warm meal and warm clothing, gave him everything that he needed. And then when he arrived by Rabbi Elimelech of Lezhensk, Rabbi Elimelech said to him, when somebody dances and sings what he doesn't have, then he's zoicha to be able to have brocha and receive everything that he is lacking. But what do we see from this story? We see from this story is that the power of singing comes to a person only when he concentrates on the good. He can be in the most difficult situations, so much bad, so much sorrows, so much pain, but he's able to concentrate on the good and focus only on the good that he has. And even the good may be that I can feel hunger and I can feel cold and I have to warm myself up because I'm alive. Then that alone gives a person the power to sing. And I'll explain a bit deeper. According to Likutei Maharan, where Nachum Brestov says, he says the power of singing is in order to be boire, to divide, to separate Ruach HaTov from Ruach Hara. There's Ruach HaTov in a person's life, and there's Ruach Hara, which is mixed together. Sometimes a person feels, what am I? What's my parnossa? What's hobby? And he feels down. He's mityaesh. But then sometimes you have Ruach HaTov, you say, what do you mean? I'm alive. Baruch Hashem, everything is good. I have a house to live in. Everything is okay. And you're feeling good with yourself. But the Ruach Hara doesn't let you sing, doesn't let you be happy. It keeps on telling you, yeah, what is there to sing about? What is there to be happy about? What is there to dance about? So singing and playing on the flute, you bring out a niggun, is that you separate the Ruach Hara. You let it out of your life. How? Because you have a flute. Have you ever seen a flute? It has lots of holes. If all the holes are open and all the air goes out, there's no tune, there's no melody. When is there a melody? There's a melody comes when you close a few holes. You keep a bit of ruach, a bit of air, and you let out some air. And then you change. This air you take, this air you don't take. This air you take, this air you don't. And then comes the most beautiful melody. You are choosing the ruach hatov and you're letting out the ruach hara. When a person focuses on what's good in life and the bracha that he has, and he sends out all the negative energy that there is in life, then you are able to play the most beautiful melody. That was Rabbi Yaakov Merimanov, can be there in the stable in Poland in sub-zero temperature, but he's able to concentrate on the good. You're able to see the good in life, and then you got the Ruach HaTova. From the Ruach HaTova you are able to sing and play the most beautiful melody. And now we can go back to what the question the Mabit, it's a question the Mabit asks about the klovim, the dogs. A person can only sing when he's satisfied, when he sees satisfaction in his life, when he sees one area, he's able to focus on the good, and that's it, everything else can go, he falls away. But when the dogs, it says, Lo yodo sovo, a dog is never satisfied, says a Mabit. You know why? He says an interesting thing, because a dog is not like the animal. It says, that everyone is satisfied. Because why are the animals satisfied? Because there's grass for them to eat. But a dog doesn't eat grass. I should say you should eat meat, but it's not like a lion. He cannot be able, he's not able to eat, to capture other animals and be able to eat other animals like the lions are able to. He doesn't have that koyach like those animals. So he's left there in between. So he's the whole time hungry, the whole time looking for food, the dogs. Because it's not like the animals eat the grass, and it's not like the lions and the tigers which are able to kill other animals in order to eat the meat. So the whole time the dog is somewhere in the middle. Lo yodo sovo, he's never satisfied. So asks, Reb Chanina asked, the Talmud of Chanina ben Doisa, Bishaya, the Talmud of Chanina ben Doisa asked, how is a dog able to sing Shira? It never satisfied. If a person never finds satisfaction in your life, in one area even, you're not able to sing. So how is the dog able to sing Shira? So then the answer, the Malach came from Shemaim and said to him, because in this week's Parashat in Beshalach it says, that all the dogs of the Mitzrim were barking because the Malach HaMoves came, Hashem B'atzmai came and killed all the firstborn. So the dogs were barking, symbolizing the tzorus they were in. But Am Yisrael was peaceful. And in order to show this peace in the Machaneh Yisrael, in the Jewish encampment, it was symbolized by even the dogs in Machaneh Yisrael were quiet. But it was their nature to bark. And they kept silent against their nature. Hashem said, because you are silent, middah keneged middah, you will be able to sing. Even so, the nature of a dog is not to have satisfaction. The whole time he's looking for food. But because they were silent when by Yetzias Mitzrayim, they got a schus to always sing and sing and sing Shira. So now first we have the first idea, the idea of Shira is that it brings, a person wants to sing. You want to sing, you have to be able to put away. Be mavarer, the ruach hatoiva me ruach hara. To divide, to separate the positive energy from the negative energy. Send away all the ruchot, attach to Hashem through the positive you see in your life. Through the positive you connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu with devotion and devekas, and then you are able to sing the most beautiful melody to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And this is the idea, like we said from the Ma'avar Yabok, that the melody, through the melody, a person that elevates himself, because the neshama The neshama comes from a world where there is only singing, where there is only songs. And then you are able to attach to this higher world through singing the neshama has. And that's why it says a very interesting thing. After, by the creation of the world, after Adam Rishon, one of the children of Adam Rishon was Lemech, and one of the children of Lemech, we had two sons. One was Yovel, and one was Yuval. Two brothers. Now it says, Yovel was Avi Yoshev Oyhelo Mikne. He was the first shepherd. The first shepherd, Rashi said, it wasn't simple to be a shepherd. Shepherd, like nowadays, you go out and you come back. But a shepherd, it was somebody who had to go from month to month. Stay out in the fields, in nature, for months. I think even now in Switzerland they have the thing that they would go the whole summer season, they would take the flocks to the higher mountains. The Gemara in Sukkah says, Sukkah Soroyim, the sheds of the shepherds, because they would have sheds and stay out in nature for many, many months. That's what Rashi says. He says he was a Rishon, the Yovel, who was a Roet son, who was a shepherd for the animals. He was a Rishon leroya behemus, bamidboros, v'yoyshev v'yholem, chodesh kan, a month here, a month there, b'shvil maret soinoi. But together with that brother, there was a second brother, Yuval. And Yuval discovered the idea of the kinor, of the flute, of musical instruments. And they were together. The first shepherd and the first musical instruments, they both were born at the same time. Because it's a shutfut. Like we see the Roet son go out into the fields and they go to pasture with a flute, with a chalil. Then they go to pasture from one brother and the other brother brought the chalil. Why is it so important that always a shepherd would go with the chalil out into the fields and stay there for many months and weeks and months at a time? But he had this chalil with him. He never felt alone. Because, this as well from Likutei Maharan explains a beautiful explanation. He says, because when a person is out in nature for such a long time, and you're not speaking with other people, when you speak with others, you feel a human being. But when you're out in nature, then you can slowly become degraded to an animal. Have you ever seen people who were stuck in a jungle for many, many years? They come back, they're speaking like animals. They forgot their speech. They only know how to speak like animals. Why? Because they're so much outside in the nature, then they become a part of the nature. They forget who they are. They forget their koyach. So therefore, the shepherd takes a flute. And with the flute, he's out in nature. The flute is the singing of the soul, like we said. And he awakens his soul, and not only a human being. Then he remembers, he cut his soul, he attaches himself to something much higher, to a sephir, a ruchnius, a spiritual level. And this, the animals hear a song, nothing happens. The animal never dances when he hears a song. But a person, through a flute, he attaches himself, and he has devekos to the Rebbeinu Shalom. He never forgets his kedusha of who he is. And that's why it says, Kol Esav Esav Yeshlon Nigun Miyuchad Mishelo. Every field that the shepherd comes, every field he goes, he finds another attachment to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, another look and how you can see HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the nature, and he attaches himself to a much higher level, and he never will become degraded to become like an animal. So maybe for us it's as well a lesson. We may be not shepherds going out in the fields for many months, but we are a Jewish nation amongst non-Jewish people. And we have to remember who we are. We have to remember our kedusha, our neshama, our holiness. How do we return to our core, to our spirituality? Is through a niggun. Let's sing a beautiful song, a beautiful tune, a beautiful niggun. Take out the chalil, take out the flute, and sing a song. Attach your neshama to a much higher level, and then we will divide ourselves from all the goyim, from all the disturbance, the ruchnius disturbance that's around us, and we can attach ourselves to a much higher spiritual level. And just to end, this is the idea that Tamya Minhogim says. There's only two creatures in the world, two beings in the world which sing. It's a human being has the ability to sing, and the birds. And that's why on Shabbos Shira, besides for there is one reason why we give bread to the birds, is because when Hashem said there will not be man on Shabbos, and Dos Aviron wanted to show that Moshe Rabbeinu was not speaking truth, and they wanted to make such a thing, so they took man and they spread it around on Shabbos. Say, yeah, there was man on Shabbos, but the birds came and ate the man, and so in order it should be clean, and they should see there was no man on Shabbos. The man that Dos Aviron put, the birds came and ate it. That's why we put bread Erev Shabbos in return for the birds did. But the Tamei HaMenhogim says, and if Pinchas Bikurit says, an added explanation, Maharal as well, when used to put bread outside the Erev Shabbos, used to say, this is for the birds that joined us in song when it was Oz Yoshe Moshe. They're the ones, the singing of the birds, and we sing together on Shabbos Kodesh. We become one with the singing of the birds, and that's why we put bread outside Erev Shabbos in order to join with the birds in singing to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So may we be zoicha to elevate our souls, bring it back, bring your soul back to Olam Kisya Kovod. How do you bring the soul back, says the Maver Yabuk? We bring it back through Nigun, because that's a language of the soul, that's the atmosphere the soul comes from, the Olam Yisrael Yoinim, where everyone, all the angels in Olam Yisrael Yoinim are singing songs to Hashem. And singing comes through dividing and separating the Ruach HaTov from the Ruach HaRa, concentrating on the good in life, send away the negative energy, connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and then you can connect to Hashem through Simcha, Gaguim and Dveikos. And then we learned the Inyan with the Kelev. The Kelev has no satisfaction, but because he was silent in Mitzrayim, that's why he came back. He was Zocher to Shira. And then we saw the shepherd. Through song, a person realizes, a person discovers the spirituality of his neshama out there in the midbar amongst all the animals for so many months. That's a connect to spirituality. That we be zoicha, Shabbos Shira, sing many nigunim. Singing to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is so holy. We zoich to have a wonderful Shabbat. Thank you very much for listening.